The top topic in Kenyan political scenes right now is the anticipated showdown that exists between the principles of united opposition. So you see, the united opposition had this prior agreement that they were supposed to meet come December 2026 and decide among themselves who will become the principal candidate against Ruto in 2027 and against mtu yoyote who will vie as a president in 2027. But it seems that their current arrangement might not exist all the way to 2026. And this is happening because, as we report right now at the Civic Lens, there is rather a showdown between the three major principles of the united opposition. And as this showdown exists between the three major principles of the united opposition, the current by-elections that are going on kwa hizi units that are conducting by-elections, you realize that certain candidates who are not even major principles of the united opposition are actually the people controlling the ground. Now let's analyze these two top stories. Here at the Civic Lens, we analyze our stories impartially. There is a showdown that is going on at the national level, and there is a showdown that is going on at the county levels, at the constituency levels, and at the sub-county levels within the united opposition. And this showdown is going to determine who really will have a top voice come 2027. So let's start with the national level. At the national level, irrespective of the number of the united opposition members who sit there, the row is between three top principles. Matiang'i, Okeng Fred, the no-nonsense CS that came from the Uhuru Kenyatta government, and who does not have a party, but people believe is being supported by the Uhuru Kenyatta team, is the only candidate that if was to rally support for the united opposition, would amass substantive votes from the Gen Z's population. Now this one we are seeing categorically because you remember that Matiang'i's coming into politics was as a call by the Gen Z's for an alternative other than William Ruto. And shortly after, he got hijacked to join this cohort of the united opposition. So if he was supposed to, or if he was to declare within this showdown that he's going for presidency his own way, is the only candidate that the Gen Zs would rally behind. Kalonzo, you saw what happened not yesterday, that's on Sunday in church. Wavinya Ndeti and supporters of Kalonzo, who speak for the gentleman, are now saying that Kalonzo cannot be used as a tool to voca the other side, which essentially they require right now supporters of Kalonzo within this arrangement of the united opposition to see Kalonzo in the ballot. They believe that Kalonzo has supported different regimes, and right now it's Kalonzo's time.
Nikimalizia Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, sisi tunakuangalia. And we know by the grace of God, you will be the next president of the Republic of Kenya. Tuko na ndugu yetu Wamalwa hapa na wale wengine. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, hatujakuja kufanya siasa hapa, lakini hakuna kitu, tusiwe watu wa kutumia Mheshimiwa Kalonzo ndio tuweze kuvuka. Tunaelewana? Maneno ya kutumia party leader imeisha bwana. Kila mtu aingie kwa field ajipiganie, kwa sababu hata Mheshimiwa Kalonzo anajipigania kwa kiti ya nini? Ya president. Our focus is one and our focus is you, and we wish you God's blessings, kwa sababu tunajua kusema kweli wewe ni mweupe kama pamba. And we are not just talking about you that because you are in church. His Excellency, we have seen people trying to say things about you, but at the end of the day, you have proved them wrong.
Sometimes back, not long ago, we did an analysis here at the Civic Lens that projected Kalonzo as the principal candidate that these people can rally behind come 2027. Now, the united opposition in our previous episode recently appointed their voice spokesperson, that is the former MP and the former Minister of Trade, Mbeere North. This was to ensure that every communication that is coming from the united opposition jointly is communicated through the secretariat and specifically through Mr. Kitui. But we can say at this level that perhaps Rigathi Gachagua has gone rogue, because Rigathi Gachagua declared that he is the only candidate that is fit to face Ruto come 2027. So what's the effect of this statement? Who benefits and who bleeds if Rigathi goes rogue? If Rigathi goes rogue, the united opposition bleeds. They bleed because the support that comes from Rigathi Gachagua will go with Rigathi Gachagua. And the Kenya Kwanza government gains because a division within the united opposition with Gachagua going his way and this other cohort going the other way gives Ruto a win. But Gachagua perhaps might just declare that he wants to be the presidential candidate should this meeting be arrived at, and he might not at all have any intention to exit. Now, if Gachagua does not intend to exit, then how strong is his grip on the mountain region that is bringing to the united opposition's team? We saw an instance where the man that has been moving chants across the nation prior to his visit abroad and after his visit abroad was heckled and booed. Now, this was a new instance for Rigathi Gachagua, and perhaps a new revelation. Let's start with a new instance. Rigathi has been used to a positive reception since he left his position as the vice president unceremoniously. And so, this is the first instance that Rigathi Gachagua was meeting a population that's actually telling him that we are reconsidering what you're telling us. And it came as a shock to Rigathi Gachagua because he is realizing that there is a very strong distinction between slogans and translation of voters in the ballot box. He could be an entertainer, singing one term and such slogans like Asongo and so on. But now it seems to him as a shock with what he witnessed when members that are affiliated to him were serving in parliament, such like, were being heckled and booed in front of him. This could have been a realization that the grip that the DCP had on the ground might not be there anymore.
Mheshimiwa MCA wa area hii. Harambee! Sawa sawa sawa. Mheshimiwa Ligiti. Tutulia. Endelea mheshimiwa, endelea. Andu amearate muriaga. Ni mwendete Ligiti. Na ithuĩ nĩtũmwendete na nĩtũmũkaribicĩte gũkũ gwitũ. Hena ũndũ ũmwe ngwenda kwĩra Ligiti. Tũtikwaria ũhoro wa ciarami, tũtikwaria ũhoro wa bara, na tũtikwaria ũhoro wa kĩama. Kĩama gĩkĩ gĩa DCP-rĩ, ithuothe tũrĩ itungati gũkũ guothe tũrĩ itungati. Na tũreketie gũkorwo tũrĩ itungati-rĩ, Wanjikũ wa Mũhĩa nĩaratwagĩra gĩtĩo. Etuĩte patroni, agatua ithuĩ tũtirĩ andũ, tũkwenda ũtwehererie, ehere, tũtigwo na kĩama kĩega. Asante. Wewe yarũgamire na Yuda nĩwe watũgiririe na rĩu thaa ici arauga atĩ DCP mũndũ enda gũthiĩ athiĩ.
Meharate hoe! Meharate hoe! Gũkũ tũrauga one time. Harambee! Harambee! Wanjikũ wa Mũhĩa ararũgama gĩtĩ kĩa Human Rep 2027 yetikuonana. Nĩ gũkindĩra nakĩo kĩama DCP thutha wa gĩtungati.
But let's put our lenses deeper and zoom into who was being heckled and why were they being heckled. The DCP party is a very prominent party in the Mount Kenya region. With its prominence comes its setbacks. The prominence, therefore, means that every person that wants to vie within the Mount Kenya region is now scrambling for a position within the DCP party. And Rigathi Gachagua has his allies from the DCP party currently, who are members of parliament when he was being impeached, people who stood by him. He is facing a resistant crowd because he's having a very difficult time to decide between supporting the individuals that stood with him during his impeachment or supporting the individuals that the people need with the DCP party. But regarding Gachagua's side and the fight between him, Kalonzo and Matiang'i, let's look at what is going on in the ground. Now, Honorable Ruku Griffins who is currently serving as the CS of Public Service and Human Resource Development, is the former member of Parliament of Mbeere North constituency. And so there's a vacancy in his position since he was appointed as CS to serve in that position. A gentleman of good record who actually has even worked in the Israel embassy here in Kenya and has done a lot of things across Africa, including the elimination of carbon wastes in countries like Mozambique, Malawi, South Africa, and such like. He has a very extensive and plausible CV. Now, Honorable Ruku was serving as a member of parliament for Mbeere North constituency under the Democratic Party of Kenya, whose principal is actually Muturi. Muturi is a principal within the United Opposition. Now, when Ruku left, 3 parties intended to file a candidate. The Democratic Party of Kenya fronted a candidate called Newton Karish, who arguably in the ground right now is the gentleman that is amassing the massive support from supporters of both Ruku and himself from the ground and supporters of Justin Muturi to replace Ruku as the Member of Parliament for Mbeere North constituency. The UDA party also launched a candidate. The candidate for the UDA party is a gentleman called Leonard Muriuki. Leonard Muriuki does not have much support like Newton Karish, but he is likely to win if the United Opposition do not call their house to order. And this is why. The third candidate is called Duncan Mbuyi. Duncan Mbuyi, until very recently, intended to run for the same position with the DCP party. But now, because of the arrangement within the United Opposition, the DCP party is opting not to front a candidate in Mbeere North, so that Newton Karish, that is going under the party ticket of the Democratic Party of Justin Muturi, who is also a principal within the United Opposition, can find a win. Now, here is where the United Opposition is making a mistake. Duncan Mbuyi, who was supposed to vie under the independent, under the DCP party, has now opted to go independent. Opting to go independent means his supporters will go alongside him. And both Duncan Mbuyi and Newton Karish, of course, are from the parties or previously were from the parties that are affiliated with the United Opposition. This leaves a playing field very leveled for Leonard Muriuki. It means that the United Opposition have a chance to win in Mbeere North. And their chance to win in Mbeere North is either Gachagua sacrifice his full support and ask Mbuyi to support Newton Karish, or Justin Muturi sacrifice his candidate Newton Karish and supports Mbuyi under the DCP party. Who do you think would sacrifice for the other? That's up to you to let us know in the comment section. But if this sacrifice is not made, then Leonard Mbuyi has a clear win in Mbeere North, which will confirm what Ruto has been saying. Ruto was quite saying this last week, that right now he has time to work, but when politics come, he will show the United Opposition how politics is done. These dynamics that are going on in the political spectrum have no position sound set for the youth. And we keep asking whether it's in Mbeere North, where by elections is being fronted, or whether it's in the United Opposition's rearrangement and appointment of gentlemen like Mukisa Kitui, or whether it's in the plan of Ruto to overtake the plan of the United Opposition using Leonard Muriuki. Where is the position of the youth? This is the Civic Lens.